Busi Dlamini, Busi Dlamini in full. I'm born and bred in Durban. I'm currently working as a general manager for KZN region at MTN. Well, it's really being like a CEO of the region. That entails looking after the entire business as a whole. We have a consumer business unit. We have enterprise business unit. We obviously have the network that we are monetizing. We've got finance, we've got HR, so you pretty much look after the entire operations holistically. It's been quite an eventful journey. My mom was a machinist in around the Durban factory. She's worked in many factories. I was then, obviously she couldn't afford much. I was then adopted by her sister, who raised me up, I think, from, teenagers. That gave me quite a huge opportunity, and that changed my life. That's where I would actually be able to see people who were actually doing better in life than where I came from originally. So that inspired me. I then seek to do better. I went to a high school where I could learn English. But later on in life, I couldn't really attend university. I then started working straight away. But I think my journey here has been one that's filled with resilience, with hope, and big dreams, and really wanting more for myself and my family, and to really change life for my family, which I think I've done. I think it's a sad thing that my mom is no longer here to see it, but I think everything that's brought us here has achieved the goal of actually making my family proud, and also just breaking the generational curses and seeing everyone thrive. I started working for MTN in 2018. Prior to that, I had worked for Vodacom for 12 years. So I've been at MTN for about 7 years now. When I came through, I was the head of enterprise. Worked for about 5 years there, and I've been in this position. I was promoted to this position as a general manager in the last 2 years. I'm still working on it. My biggest dream is that my children never seek employment, that my family never really seek employment. They need to start their own businesses, and also that everybody can actually go to school, which is where I had started from. Back in the days, just like I was given an opportunity, I've given other family members an opportunity to actually go through school, and I wanted to actually be a lawyer, but I'm quite happy where I am now. I would want to see myself as a CEO of a Nigeria, of a Zambia. I really do want to explore a bit more in terms of countries, and become the CEO eventually of a big op. I think my inspiration really comes from wanting to change things that I've seen not going right, and wanting to change them, from all the men and women who really suffered, that I saw while growing up, really struggling to make ends meet. I've been inspired to make my life better. I've also been inspired by people that have already made it. There hasn't been a lot of people when I was growing up whom you could look up to. There were teachers, there were nurses, nothing really I was interested in. And when I finally saw people who were working in corporate, something that I had not seen before, I really wanted to be there. And that really has inspired me. But I think most of all, I was inspired by not being different, by being different really from where I come from. My mom had me when she was 15, and that's the story for most of women where I come from. And so I drew my inspiration to become better from those experiences that they've had, in order to better my life. It's not easy, and the goalpost keeps moving, because just when you think you've got it, something else comes up and you're like, oh, I can do that also. Let me try that. Like I said before, I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I thought, actually, I don't have to be that. I can go into corporate. I can do other things. I went into ICT. Before I didn't even go to study IT, and I saw that people are doing it without having that background. And I taught myself a lot of stuff around the ICT environment. And before I knew it, I was already climbing the corporate ladder. So it's quite a journey. And also the fact that I didn't move from high school to university. also sort of encouraged me to just learn a little bit more so I can, have something for myself. While others were going to university, I was really trying to get experience so that I can also compete one way or the other. So it's been, more competing on excellence more than academic. I think when I had my first child, that was the first time that I actually studied long distance learning. And I actually did that until I got my degree. If I remember, I wrote my last exam. I was in just before I went to deliver my son. I think as a woman, the one attribute which I think is most important that I bring to the environment is empathy. I bring the woman self of me. Because often we think as women, when we're in a position of leadership, you've got to act, as men do. No, we don't. There's a place for women in the world, both in the boardroom and outside of the boardroom. So that for me, empathy and putting people first really has helped me, because people thrive. People want to work with people they like. People want to work in environments where they feel they are allowed to grow and be themselves. We've experienced places where people cannot be themselves where they are. And I believe that people must express who they are, and the environment will change to suit who they are so that they can flourish. And I think that's the one positive thing that I bring to my work environment, where people just feel they can express themselves, they can try different projects without the fear of either losing their jobs or of failing, because I think failure in itself is a win, because it teaches you things that a university will not teach you. So as an employer, you need to allow them to tap into those spaces and fail a few times, because that in itself is a win and it's educational. In 2021 consecutively, we've won Region of the Year across South Africa, all MTN regions combined. We've won lots of trips overseas. And I've also had many of my team members become top men and women in their spaces of speciality. And I think we've worked together, but I've also had a hand in terms of, grooming them to become who they've become. So that's been, I think, my greatest achievement. Outside of corporate, my greatest achievement was actually realizing I've got a sister that's younger than me. My mom died when she was 13, and I had just gotten married at the time. I had to raise her from that time, and today she's 32. And I became a parent before I even knew how to be. So that's part of the achievement that I look back and I think, how did I do that? And the fact that she turned out such a beautiful human being is great. We experienced lots of challenges. One, I think, in the beginning, the challenge of not having a piece of paper to prove that you are able. As I've mentioned before, that I didn't go to university straight away, where my peers had a diploma in their hand. I wanted to prove that I can do the job because I'm experienced. And also just being a lady in the boardroom, especially in the ICT space and telecommunications, we are working in an environment where you're the only female in the room. And often there's a sort of, you need to balance. How do you position yourself in the room? Do you hold back, or do you really become who you are? And I found that I can't not be myself. People have got to accept me as who I am. I'm very direct and straightforward, and I like to try new things all the time. I'm really not afraid of taking on challenges. And I think that was the biggest challenge for me, because I don't think that the world was ready for that type of person in the boardroom. We're working through it. I mean, every day women are trying to prove themselves that we are able or differently abled, right? Because we don't have to be as men have always been. But also just, I think the biggest challenge now that I'm having is that people need to accept that just as women, we've been given an opportunity, we also need to take men along. And the change in people's thinking that must happen, because as we are propelling forward, women are really advancing in their careers, we are leaving the boy child behind. How do we get that balance? I think that's the challenge that I would like to get right. If you talk to a corporate woman in me, I think we need to create equal opportunities. So I think that men and women are not the same, and certainly depending on what you look at, we are not equal. We are differently abled. The trick is about balancing the two. Where men are more capable and where women are more capable, we need to create a balance and be able to create a better world. The advice that I would give to young people, I would say be patient. I would say everything that is meant for you will come to you, no matter what the time is. Don't be hard on yourself and be in a race by yourself, not with other people. Because life doesn't necessarily work your way. Everything aligns at the perfect time. So work on yourself as opposed to looking around you, what's happening. I don't think there's such a thing as a good balance if you are a corporate woman, married and have children. I think we try to kind of balance things up, and I know that we do feel that some women have it all. There's no such thing. In the background, there's mayhem all the time. We try to balance things up. But when I have a free moment, I try to spend with my children as much as possible. I have a 5-year-old. She's forever busy. 2 children in high school. Their schedules are crazy. So I try to ask for help a lot where I can get help. My husband is very supportive. But just for myself, I try to be on my own wherever I can, just to wusa and, find myself, fill my own cup before I can pour into others. And I really try to travel with my family. I'd love to travel by myself, but they won't allow me. But I try to find those quiet moments, even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's 15 minutes by myself, just to realign my thoughts. I think that what sort of refuels me. I think this is a good platform. I think it will give other women a perspective of, everybody's life. The biggest myth is that we can do it all. We can't. And I would really like for women to create structures where they have full support. Today's communities are more in isolation. We need to rebuild our communities, rebuild our culture. Culture is a very strong tool to use to raise children and just for people to be good citizens of the world. And I would advise people to start building those communities again where we could rely on each other, look after our older generation, look after the new ones as a community and not in isolation.